Hello, welcome into the Starcastic Remarks Studios. My name is Ryan. I am the host of Starcastic Remarks. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of the Hockey Podcast Network, and we want to say thank you to DraftKings for sponsoring us and also the entire network. Please make sure you go and use the promo code THPN the next time you go and use their app for a special little offer from them, and that lets them know that we're the ones that sent you. And yeah, I really appreciate it if you guys would go and do that. And as you can see, I am in my car. I'm on the way home back to West Texas, but I stopped to talk to you guys and to talk to Chris about this fantastic game today. I didn't like the end, but, whatever. It is what it is. So, anyways, what did you think of today's game, Chris? Was it awesome? Was it good? Things to complain about?
It was awesome, good. Any adjective that is affirmative towards the good side. Yes.
So, what was the most positive thing that you could take out of today's game?
Well, the response from the Stars following the first period was the big one, because I didn't think that they came out flat necessarily, like they do a lot of times in these matinees. But the Wild were just the better team. Like, they were faster, they were harder on the forecheck, they had the majority of the shots, the majority of the chances. They had a couple power plays too. We were on our heels in the first period, and then just the one power play turns into two power play goals, just completely flips the game around. And until the final 10 minutes of the game, we thought that was the story. So,
right. Obviously, I think the biggest story coming out of today's game is obviously the back-to-back hat tricks by Mr. Jason Robertson. That's got to be the biggest thing. First player in Dallas Stars history since Bill Goldsworthy in 1971, and the first person in NHL since Alexander Ovechkin to get hat tricks in back-to-back games. That's a pretty good comparison and good company to be in, named with if you're Jason Robertson.
So what do we call it if he gets a hat trick next game too? Is it a hat trick or a hat trick?
A hat trick is what I would call it. Or
Nah,
well, you can't call it a double.
hat trick. That's way better.
You call it a triple hat trick. I don't know. Whatever.
Hat trick
Doesn't matter.
cubed.
Doesn't matter. But anyways, well, I was gonna share some stats with you guys just to back it up, but it looks like the NHL app is kind of screwy. So, whatever. We'll just go with what we got first off with the goal summary. In the first 10 minutes of the game, I thought it was very back and forth, and the Stars were doing okay. They were definitely playing a defensive road game, and you could tell that they were completely embracing the road game in today's game.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was okay with the way that they handled it. I mean, you could tell that Minnesota came out stronger, but we weren't doing a bad job of like handling it, I guess, which on the road is a fine thing to do. And going into the locker room, we would have been 1-0, which would have been fine by us. But I'm getting ahead of us. So sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I honestly thought that throughout the first period that it was a little bit more even. Yes, we were playing more in our own zone, but the Stars were taking advantage of their opportunities. They did have some good opportunities, but we just fully didn't see that in the first period like we did in the first 10 minutes of the second period, which I guess I'm getting ahead of myself now too, Chris. So, anyways,
talk about.
Yeah, I know, right? The first goal in today's game actually came off for the stick of Nico Sturm. He gets his 9th of the year from Nick Bustag and Duhame. I think that's how you say his name. Duhame?
No
maybe?
idea. Go for
Whatever.
it.
He gets the first goal of the game, and it was kind of a broken play a little bit, but it was a bad turnover by Robertson there. But it would be 1-0 Minnesota with Nico Sturm putting the Wild up early.
Yeah, it was a really bad turnover. I thought it was by Sagan though. I thought Sagan made that.
Maybe
turnover.
It was Sagan. Oh no, there was another turnover by Robertson. I'm thinking of. So yeah, you're correct.
But that first one was by Sagan, and
yeah,
I texted in our we got a family group chat when we watch hockey games. Of course, everybody knows. But I texted in that group chat. It looked like Sagan forgot how to play hockey because that was just terrible. Like he gave away the puck, he tripped the guy, and then he just didn't skate. It was so confusing. So bad turnover. And yeah, it was a fine shot. I mean, there's nothing really Otter can do about that one.
And then just about towards the end of the period, and this is probably the most weirdest goal that I think I've ever seen by the Stars this season, but it was technically Joel Pavelski's goal. He gets his 22nd of the year from Sagan and Suter, and it would be a power play goal. So the Stars are up on the power play, which is something we've been complaining about, but very early on in that power play, they take advantage of it, and they tie the game 1-1 going into the first intermission.
Critical of, not complaining about. but yeah, that was a stupid play. I don't know what was going on there, but what a play by Joe, though. I mean, he just swats it out of midair, just directly on net. Like, what? But everything other than that was just complete chaos.
Oh, and not to mention, I love the interaction between Sagan and Darren Pang.
Oh, that was so
while
fun.
they're reviewing the goal. That was so much fun. And, this goes back to one of my things that I've been thinking about this whole season. We have two new broadcast teams with TNT and ESPN. I think TNT is by far better than ESPN, by the way. Yeah. I mean, just hands down.
So much better. I love it every time we're on TNT. I mean, I like Josh and Razor more, but the little side things that they add on TNT is super fun. And I know a lot of people don't like the intermission commentary, but it's cool having some aggressive personalities on that desk. It's not really normal for hockey, I don't think.
Biz and Anson Carter, definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
So gotta love it. Gotta love those two guys. But let me jump into the controversy of this goal, because it was a little bit controversial, but if you call it by the book, this was a good goal. Did you agree with the assessment? I mean, as a Stars fan, did you agree with the assessment?
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously pushed in. Like, there's no other way you could argue that. I was surprised that they challenged it. And the thing I was more upset about was, like, how long the refs gave them before they decided if they wanted to challenge it or not. Like, that was super annoying. Like, they gave them, like, a full, 5 minutes, it felt like. And they could have just said, oh, never mind, and it wouldn't have cost them anything. So that's something that I think that, like, baseball does that really well. Like, you have a certain amount of time, you have to challenge it. Like, you can't waste the time of the game and slow the pace of play down. You have to either challenge it now or forget about it. And that's something I think hockey needs to standardize more, because I've seen times where they don't give us a lot of time to look it over before we decide to challenge it. And then there's situations like this where they get a bunch of time to figure it out. So I think that needs to be standardized a little bit better, but a little
I agree
nitpicky.
with you, but I think this worked in the advantage of the Stars in this case.
It
'Cause it
did
gave them more
actually, yeah.
chance to look at it, and they're like, I don't know. But I mean, that's completely not on Dean Evanson, the Minnesota head coach. That's completely on whoever the video coach is for the Minnesota Wild.
True.
I mean, you have to look at that a lot closer than that and realize, hey, this is a good goal. No, this is a bad goal. Whatever. And they talked about that in the TNT broadcast in the first intermission. It's just like, I mean, you got to be able to make those calls. And I mean, it just seemed really obvious to me, at least.
And in a 1-to-1 game, like, when your team is especially bad on power plays as of recently, like, that's a really stupid decision in my opinion. Like, you heard the stats; they had less than like 50% success rate on the power play or on the penalty kill. Sorry,
Penalty kill. Yeah, I was about to say.
so
that.
why would they risk going on it again? Like, that's a terrible decision, and it obviously cost them pretty much the game.
Right, and it was yes, it was the video coach, but again, a little bit does go on Dean Evanson on this, because you got it. I mean, exactly like you pointed out, you got to think and say that Dean Evanson, probably shouldn't have made that call if he wasn't sure about it. And I'll pull up Alex's comment here in a second, because that's interesting. I did not know that. And then it's also on the video coach as well. So let me go ahead and pull this up, because this is Alex. Thank you, Alex, for pointing this out, because this lets us know some good information.
Breaking news.
Breaking news in the chats. Alex saying the post game came out and said the video coach did not want to challenge. And so this is 100% on Dean Evanson.
That's insane if that's true. Like, I have no reason to think you're lying, Alex, but oh my gosh, that would be insane.
Right, and this was honestly the turning point in the game for the Stars and for the Wild, for that matter.
And if it comes from a guy going against the person who has the best view, like, what are you doing? That's so stupid.
Right, and that, because of the goal and because the coach's challenge was incorrect, if that happens, then you are immediately assessed a 2-minute minor penalty for delay a game. It's a bench minor.
By the way,
Stars,
real quick, that's a great rule. What an amazing rule. Whoever thought of that is a genius.
Well, we love it in today's game. Maybe not.
I love it always. Games. Like, because for baseball, you just challenge and nothing happens. Or in football, you challenge, you lose a timeout. There's a whole power play. It's such a good rule. I liked it as soon as it was implemented. But move along. I especially like it today.
Right, especially like it today. But off of that power play, Jason Robertson would get his first of the game. Another power play goal from Klingberg and Ben. And it was just a simple shot. It was a simple shot from the point. Jason Robertson was hungrier than the Minnesota Wild defense, and he puts it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they talked about this after he was pulled, but it was a bad rebound, really, is what it was. I mean, it hit him in the chest, and it just came right in front of him. You got to hold on to those if you're going to be an elite goalie.
And as of late, Kakkonen, who is the starting goaltender for tonight, who the Stars chased out of the net, has actually been the better of the two goaltenders as of late. And over Cam Talbot, that's not good if you're the Minnesota Wild, especially if you're considering going for a playoff spot and, especially gunning for it. So
looks like they're considering choking and not getting one. So,
well, it's still, there's still enough time. There's still about a little less than a third of the season remaining for both of these teams. So I still think they have a chance to turn it around, but the Stars have definitely taken advantage of the fact that while they've gotten hot, the other two teams in Nashville and Minnesota have really gotten sucky over the past, 2 weeks or so. So that's
and
really
St. Louis,
important.
honestly. I mean, St. Louis is sitting there at 71 points. We are well within striking distance of them. So
we're only 3 points behind now.
We were talking about sell like 3 weeks ago, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, we can just get second in the conference. That'd be fine. Or the division. I mean, we could get second in the conference. Calgary's only up there at 73.
Right. You're right. But does anything change for Jim Nill? Do you think that his mind has been changed based off of the play of recent, do you think he was in a seller mindset? Do you think he was in a buyer's mindset? Doesn't matter what's going on, I'm gonna buy. What do you think?
I think he had like a point number in his head of how many behind out of a playoff spot we were, and if we're below that, we're selling, and if we're above it, we're sitting. And I think at least right now, we're well above that. Now we've got a tough schedule, so it's gonna take some good play before the trade deadline too. But I think this pretty much cements we're not gonna be sellers this year, as long as nothing drastic happens on this upcoming road trip.
Right. Do we buy?
If you can. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you could get, and honestly, I'm not really sure like what the Stars exactly need. Like, we have guys who are supposed to be our secondary goal scorers, so I guess that's what you're looking for most likely. But I don't know really what you could get and where you would slot them if you got them. So
it's true. That's a good point. There's not like a glaring hole, if that makes any sense.
Exactly.
There's guys who are underperforming where we would expect them to be, but there's, especially with the lineup the way it is, especially the forward groups and the forward lines, they've really kind of cemented themselves over the past, again, month or so, where you've got obviously the top line that's been the top line for a year and a half now. That Benn Seguin with Gary Onoff has been a pretty decent second line scoring line over the past, especially 3 weeks. You've got that third line and fourth line. I guess they're interchangeable. You could call them third or fourth line, whatever. But that third line of Radulov, Peterson, and Kiwi has been pretty good. They've gotten some scoring chances. Would like to see them put a little more away, but they haven't. But that's okay. They're positive going the other way, getting scoring chances. And then that Fox Glendening line, and then whoever's that third person on that line. Most of the time, it's been Raffle. They've been good, shutting down the other team's top line. So, I mean, you kind of want more goals because that's what the team really needs at this point, because the defense is doing pretty good and the goaltending has been excellent from both Ottinger and Holtby. But I mean, maybe that's the right thing, is just to stand pat. And you know what? I was complaining about the fact that I didn't want to see us stand pat 2 weeks ago.
Well,
it's amazing how quickly hockey changes.
You also got to think, like, what can we actually do? Like, do we have the money for anything?
No.
Not really.
Definitely right now.
So you don't have the space, you don't have the money, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
So anyways, that puts the Stars, going back to the goal summary, that puts the Stars up 2-1 due to 2 power play goals, basically back to back. And then taking the momentum from those 2 power play goals, Riley Tufte finally gets to play in front of the Minnesota crowd, and he gets his first NHL goal from Klingberg and Glendening. And it was very similar to the Jason Robertson goal, where it's basically you just, drive by in front. Oh, there's the puck in the back of the net. And it was a rebound.
Yep, off another rebound. And it was a hungry play, too. I mean, he was all over the puck. He was making sure that it got in the back of the net. So awesome to see him score that. And he was so happy. It was so cool.
And it was very nice to see him get that opportunity to play in front of his hometown crowd. And same thing with Ottinger. Ottinger was playing in front of his hometown crowd as well. So 2 Minnesota boys being especially big in today's game.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Tufte got benched again? There would have been riots. That would have been hilarious.
I would have been so mad. But because Bowness gave Tufte the opportunity to play in today's game, Peterson was a healthy scratch today, I believe. Is that correct? Yes.
That is correct.
Okay. So Peterson was a healthy scratch today, which I fully expect him to be back in the lineup on Tuesday. But was there anything else that you saw from Riley Tufte's play tonight that you really liked, or just the fact that he got the goal today?
I mean, I've liked the way he's played in general the past few times he's been in. He's been using his size, which is something we don't have a lot of on our team. So him and Harley being in, I feel like, has really addressed an issue that a lot of people weren't thinking about in the size department. So I've really appreciated his physical play.
And he's really been using that body, and typically that wasn't what he was when he was growing up in the Canadian minors, junior minors, or whatever they call them, the junior leagues. He was mostly known as a goal scorer, a point getter kind of person. And it looks like he's finally using his size to his advantage, and hopefully that continues for him because that's how he's going to get in the Stars lineup at this point. Anyways, about 7 minutes later, Jason Robertson would get his second of the game, his 28th of the season from
Henson Pavelski.
Henson Pavelski, and that would be a goal that I thought should have never gone in.
Everybody
in the
thought
family
that.
group chat. Yeah.
Everybody in the world thought that shouldn't have gone in because it definitely should have. Even the goalie knew it shouldn't have gone in. And as soon as that went past, you knew that the goaltender was going to get pulled immediately. So,
but again, it was a good play by Roope Hintz. He just got just enough of a screen to not allow Kakkonen to see it.
Yeah, it was a fine shot, but not one that an NHL goaltender should let go in ever. So,
agreed. And after that fourth goal for the Dallas Stars, that would be their fourth goal in a row. And we would say goodbye to Kaapo Kakkonen, excuse me. He plays for the Rangers, Kaapo Kakko. And in comes Cam Talbot, which when I saw his stats, I was like, youch, that's kind of bad.
That was a youch.
But anyways, nothing would really happen in the second half of the second period. And the Stars at that point, I think, went full turtle mode and started playing aggressive defense.
Yeah, and the Wild kind of stopped playing too. I mean, you could tell that their balloon was totally deflated until the third period, which we'll get to. But we locked it down well too, I think. So they didn't really get much chances for that 20 minutes between between Robertson's goal and the goalie being pulled. They didn't really get any great chances. It was just kind of like, yeah, they're skating. So,
but. Anyways, let's get into this third period because in the third period, there really is not much to talk about, which I guess if you're the Dallas Stars on the road is a very good thing.
Well, in the first half of the third period, there's not much to talk about.
Right. Well, I would say the first 3/4 of the third period.
But I'll talk about the third quarter, I guess, because they pulled their goalie at 10 minutes, and we missed it.
It was more like 8 minutes. It was more like 8 minutes.
Whatever. They pulled our goalie really early, and we missed the net, the wide open empty net 5 times. Like literally 5 times. Like from neutral zone. I'm not even counting the ones that were from our own end.
Mm-hmm.
That's egregious. Like, and 3 of them were before the first goal. Like we could have just iced it and just been done. And we could have been having the podcast a full 30 minutes earlier. But no.
Yep.
Stars have to make everything exciting. So annoying.
I wouldn't say exciting. I would say stressful. But whatever. But anyways, so is that something that they should start practicing?
Yes. Well,
they talked about that in the TNT broadcast, but I think they were being serious at the same time.
The first game we played against the Wild, the same thing happened. You'll remember.
Right.
So we scored a touchdown, and then the Wild pulled their goalie with even more time than this. It was over 10 minutes the first time that they did this to us, and they scored 3 goals on us, I think. It was either 2 or 3.
I think it was 2.
So, yeah. I don't know what... I mean, I know they're good 6-on-5, and they do it a lot, but we're also terrible 6-on-5. And we had been better at it recently. Remember at the beginning of the season, we talked about that a lot because we had blown like 3 or 4 leads whenever the other team had the extra attacker. But hopefully this isn't us getting back to that. Hopefully it was just unfortunate. But you got to think that you got to focus up a little bit and make sure you finish the game before you start lollygagging around the ice.
And I don't even think it's necessarily lollygagging. It's just the fact that that's how Bowness wants them to play in the final period, especially if they have a 3-goal lead like that.
Well, he doesn't want them to miss empty nets. So that's what I'm saying. Just
right.
In that specific moment, just pay more attention and make sure you get it into the net. Because every guy, if they're on the ice alone, is going to get every single one of the pucks from the neutral zone into the net. It's not hard.
Well, and I think the word I'm thinking of is panicked. They were panicking. So when they were getting those empty net chances, they were panicking and just get down. And then they just continue to miss it. So hopefully they have some practice tomorrow, wherever that may be, if they even practice, and get some more chances at the open net.
Yeah. But anyway, the third period that was supposed to be boring turns into 2 goals for Kirill Kaprizov. Love that. He's our favorite player on the Wild. And then So that gives the Wild a 1-goal deficit with 2 minutes to play. Like that's legit. Like you could totally score there, especially when you just did it twice to us.
Mhm.
So luckily Ben takes it and just heaves a full Hail Mary all the way across the ice and makes it. I feel like he's done that like multiple times, like at least 5.
It's just like, guys, let me do this.
Yeah. So I was very happy that he kind of cooled it down real quick, but that was so scary. I really thought we were about to blow that lead at the end there.
I thought we were too. And I even felt worse because I was watching the YouTube watch along on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel, and they were watching the Minnesota Wild game, but there were 2 guys that were Minnesota Wild fans watching it. And before the third period got started, I was just in there just bantering with them through the chat, and they were like, what does the Wild need to do to win this game? And they were both like, oh, we're not going to win this game, and there's not a chance. I'd just be happy if we outscore them in the third period. And I was just like, and I said, hold on, guys, because the Stars are known for blowing leads like this 6-on-5 in the last little bit, and they like to turtle. So this game is not over yet, even though it's a 3-goal lead. And I thought about that when it became 4-3, and I was just like, oh, crap. I totally just jinxed my own team. And thank goodness Jamie Benn did that. So,
Yep.
And then anyways, to finish up the goal summary, Jason Robertson with his 29th year, he gets the empty netter from Hintz. Back-to-back hat trick games for Jason Robertson, and the rest is history. Stars win the game tonight by a final score of 6-3. Wow.
And that guy is just so good. Like he literally had 23 goals 2 games ago. And he was like, and now should hit 40 goals for the year easily now. And like he's got 50 in his sight. Like he can get it if he pushes. So that's crazy. How is he
scores
scoring
3
so many
goals
goals
a game, maybe? But
I mean, he's doing it right now. So
I don't think he makes 50. 30, obviously he will make it. 35, I think, is a possibility. 40,
he better get 40.
I don't know. I don't know if he'll make 40, but we'll see. We'll see.
He's getting 40. No doubt in my mind.
No doubt in Chris's mind. Chat, let us know who's right. Is Robertson going to get to 40? I don't think so. Chris does. But we'll see what you guys think, and then we'll look at that here towards the end.
I got the stats pulled up.
Go for it.
It was being weird for me too. But anyway, Stars have 26 shots on goal. Minnesota has 35. The shots on goal in the final period were crazy. I'm going to try and pull those up too while I keep on reading these. But the faceoff percentage for the Stars, 61-39. Great faceoff night for us, pretty much all the way across the board. That was really good. The Stars are technically 2 for 3, but that's with a 4-second power play. They're really 2 for 2. Minnesota 0 for 4. Great special teams night for the Stars on both ends. Even the penalty kill, like we didn't give up much great chances either. Like last game when Holtby was in, there was a lot of good chances still. We were pretty locked down solid on the PK. Hits are tied at 23, sure. Blocks are 17-8 in favor of the Stars, sure. Giveaways are 6-4. Minnesota had 6, sure, whatever. But yep, I didn't get that pulled up for the third period. So Ryan, you talk about something real quick.
Yeah, this app is just so glitchy. Like seriously, it's glitchy.
No, it's the NHL's thing is being glitchy because I'm on like the desktop website and it's being glitchy too. So.
Yeah, no, I've got both. I've got like my iPad up on the
okay,
site,
I got it.
I've got the app or whatever too.
Minnesota had 15 shots on goal in the third period. The Stars had 4. So yeah, we turtled a little bit.
I would love to see the shot differential for the Dallas Stars compared to their opponents when they're up by a goal or more.
Yeah, in all third periods and just see how crazy it is.
It's got to be something like 1,000 to like 50 or something like that. Something stupid like that.
Yep. But I wouldn't doubt it.
Anyways, I do want to talk about a couple of players here tonight. We talked about Robo a little bit. We talked about Tufte a little bit. Congratulations to him with his first career goal. I'm sure fans will be screaming for thighs on Twitter, but that probably won't happen. But the other player I do want to mention tonight in tonight's game is Jake Oettinger. Obviously, we got to keep talking about the guy because even though he wasn't asked to be a workhorse tonight or like huge tonight, he still made a lot of good saves, and the Stars played really, really good defensively in front of him tonight.
He made some huge timely saves too, though, especially in the first period. There were some gigantic saves by Otter that really kept us in it. And then the second period, between our 3 goals, they had a couple chances that were really big saves for Otter. So he really hasn't slowed down from that one, from the games that he was stealing earlier. He's playing the same great kind of hockey, and he's obviously our starting goalie now. Like, it's just no doubt. And we mentioned it in that game, like, okay, it was a great showing by Otter, but now he has to show that in the long haul, this is what he can do. And he's definitely proved it. I mean, game in, game out, he's the guy. He is numero uno.
And then you've got a really good goaltender and Braden Holby, who played a fantastic game last game as well. So that's one thing that the Stars are not worried about right now is goaltending. I'd love to see that, because especially after the whole Niemi and Lettinen, experiment failed several years ago, Nil has done a better job in making sure that the Stars had 2 really good goaltenders to make sure that that position is solidified, because goaltending in any sport is arguably the most important position.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, especially in hockey. Like, there was a tweet by Bruce on Twitter. He said 50% of hockey is goaltending. Unless it's bad goaltending, then it's 100%. So yeah, it's definitely the most important. Honestly, like, for the team, like, they say the quarterback is the most important position in sports. But, like, for the specific team, goaltender's got to be the even more important, because you can be a goalie and take your team all the way to the cup. And we've seen it multiple, like Dominic Hasek. He did that multiple times. He was the only player that was good on Buffalo whenever the Stars beat them in '99. So yeah, goaltending is so important, and he's doing it so well. And I love seeing him get aggressive whenever guys were getting up in his grill towards the third period. I love seeing that fire from him. He needs to own that. He needs to protect himself too, because he got chased down a little bit in this game. A couple slew foots and garbage like that.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that as well. I'm glad you brought that up, because that kind of hacked me off a little bit. There were a couple of plays that I was like, oh, he happened to just hit Ottinger as he ran into the post as well. Or he just didn't give himself enough room to get around the net or whatever, and it just happened to run into Ottinger. And I would like the Stars to really, really, knock some heads when that happens in front of Ottinger. Because if Ottinger gets hurt because of something like this, because a player goes goalie bowling or whatever, we're in a lot of trouble. I mean, I love Holtby, but Otter is the guy. He is the guy at this point. He will lead us into the playoffs, and he will be the workhorse. He will get the majority of the starts in the playoffs. So, I mean, we cannot let opposing forwards do that to our goaltenders.
Yep, agreed. You got anything else, Ryan? I'm good.
We talked about power play a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah, we already talked about power play. That was good, especially from it being so bad recently. But that also might just be because Minnesota's penalty kill has been awful too. So we'll see.
So two bits of news that I wanted to point out before we close it off, because we are going to close it off a little earlier tonight than we did on the last one. Because the last one we went like 45, almost 50 minutes. So anyway, the first one is our 4th round pick for the Dallas Stars back in 2020. Antonio Stranges signed his entry-level deal. He's been tearing up the OHL right now for his junior team. So that's a really good thing to see. And he's a 4th round pick. And he's really well known for his skating. His skating is excellent. So we'll see if he can make his way up onto the Stars roster here in the next couple of years or so. And then the second thing I wanted to mention was the fact that the Dallas Stars have actually initiated their own Hall of Fame, and just for their team. So we've been over the past couple of years, especially, we've been retiring a lot of numbers. Mike Modano, Yuri Lettinen, and then Sergei Zubov most recently. But there's also a lot of players within the organization that deserve to be recognized for what they did for this franchise. And one of those players that I actually thought deserved, and I really hope he does get into the Dallas Stars Hall of Fame, is Steve Ott, the other Otter. So I would love to see him in the Dallas Stars Hall of Fame. But just real quick, and then we'll close it out. Yeah, if you got two, got two players.
Yeah,
okay,
I got
go for it.
Marty Turco for one.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
He's the head of the Dallas Stars Foundation right now too, so that's really cool. He's really standing around the community. And then Brendan Morrow is the next one.
Obviously, him too. Yep. So, 3 guys who I would love to see in the Dallas Stars Hall of Fame. But
And Hatcher should have his number retired. Hatcher to the rafters.
I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know.
We're doing it.
Did he have the same impact as, Modano and Letnin and Zubov?
Yes.
I don't know.
Best captain in hockey history. No doubt. Hatcher to the rafters.
He did break Jeremy Roenick's jaw, so I did appreciate that about him.
Exactly.
But anyways, y'all let us know in the chat tonight what you guys think of Dallas Stars players that should be in the Dallas Stars Hall of Fame. And let us know what you guys think and who should be in it. We'll check it out here later. And, we may mention it on the next podcast as we start it off. So anyways, guys, we're going to close it out here tonight. I got to get home. I got another 4 or 5 hour drive to go. But anyways, along with Chris, I'm Ryan. This has been Starcastic Marks. This has been the after game review for game number 55 against the Minnesota Wild. The Stars have tied the Minnesota Wild for 3rd in the Central, although they're still in the first wildcard spot because they've played more games. Technicalities. But anyways, we've tied them. That's very important. It's very good. But anyways, we're going to call it a night here tonight. Go and use the promo code THPN the next time you go and use the DraftKings app for a special little offer from them. And that lets them know that we're the ones that sent you. We'd appreciate that. We will catch you guys on the flip side. We hope y'all have a good, fantastic evening, morning, whenever you're listening to this episode.
GG, boys. Mom said I'm right. Haha.
Mom doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm going to get in trouble. I better close it off now before I get in trouble. I was right. No one doubted. I was right.